Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to this webinar where we'll go into work with PIM, and today we'll go deeper into the channels and the feeds and how we deal with that. I'm your speaker of today, and all what I'll talk about in these 30 minutes will be around our PIM module, PIM functionality that are part of our Dynamicweb all-in-one platform. The agenda for the next 30 minutes will be: why do we need channels and feeds? What is channels and feeds? How do we make channels? And how do we set up feeds? And the last two will be examples on the live system. Now first, why do we need channels and feeds? Now we need channels and feeds because when we are dealing with product information in the PIM system, we also need to distribute various type of formats with various type of channels. So if we look at it, this drawings, we can say that in our Dynamicweb PIM setup, we are dealing with different input sources. We have to integrate to these sources. We have the PIM solution where we can maintain, enrich, and control all our products and the enrichment process. And we can, of course, link them to our e-commerce and the marketing modules in our all-in-one platform. But when we are working with PIM and we enrich the products, we also want to distribute the content we have enriched the products with to different channels and in different formats. So with channels and feeds, we can then define and we can distribute data formats to maybe third-party websites or e-commerce solutions, to marketplaces, and maybe to printing catalogs, or whatever kind of channels that are needed in the company. So if you take the setup where we have the all-in-one platform, and what you will see when we come to my live demonstration, I have defined two channels. The main difference between the two channels is, of course, or are the channels for the partner net. It's a channel where I have influence on how to distribute, how to organize the products in the channel. And if we take a marketplace like Amazon, it's more dictated, the structure and the formats. Now, when we have a channel, if we go to the partnernet channel, in the distribution of the formats, now if we have a channels maybe to the whole Europe, and we want to distribute the data, we maybe want to distribute the data in different formats. So because of that, we can define feeds to the channel. And the feeds can be the different data formats we want. Some of them could be maybe a format for Sitecore setups. That could be maybe formats for Meet the Magento setup, and maybe other systems we want to distribute the data to. Again, if we go down to Amazon, Amazon is dictated. So if we want to work through an Amazon channel, we have to follow the Amazon's Web Services API. So that means we have to deliver the data in the correct structure, in the correct way and the correct order, other than Amazon will refuse it. Now, let's go deeper into the channels and the feeds. So what is channels and feeds? Now, if first focusing on the channels, as mentioned before, I have set up in my live system two channels, one for my partner network and one for a marketplace. Now, what we're doing with the channels is that you can, within the PIM system, relate the products that should be in a specific area of the channels or in the Amazon area directly from the PIM window. So the structure of the channel, you see it here on the screen, that I have a structure in my Amazon channel. Again, this structure is more or less dictated from Amazon, because Amazon should have the correct categories, the correct type of products, and so on and so on. You have to deliver these informations in the correct order to Amazon. If you go down to this partner shop for Europe, there I can more control the way of structuring, or maybe if there are agreement with the partner network that we categorize our products in that way, then we can in that channel make a structure that meet that partner network's requirements. And then you can direct from the PIM system, relate them to these areas or channels, and in the specific category. Now, if you go into a channel and look at the products, you can of course see the products. You can look at the products. You can also make ordering of the products in a particular category. But if you look at the product card, you cannot maintain anything. The content, the text, the images, whatever, are maintained from the PIM area. You can in the channel just see the informations. Now we have these channels. We now have to look at the feeds, because the channel is where you can organize the products, how they should be placed in that particular channel. Now the feeds are more for transforming the data to the specific need. Again, as mentioned before, this example is that I have a feed for Sitecore. So that feed could be specified exactly how Sitecore should have it in their API. And the same with the Magento. You could specify a feed that exactly meet what Magento need for their input. And of course, our channels and need of data formats and structures can be defined. It's completely open. Now, the basic output formats, the following the system is a pure text output. That could be a JSON format, that could be XML, or that can even be the Excel sheets format. That's something, the output format is something you can select in the feed definition, and you can also go in and customize these outputs. Now, if you go further down to the Amazon, again, the Amazon feeds are dictated because we have to meet the requirement from the Amazon Web Services and to meet their API setup and the handling of the data. And typically with Amazon, you have feeds that go to different departments and shelves, and maybe also languages. So when we go in and define a feed, you have a lot of options you have to define, because what type of data do you want to go into this feed, and which languages, with currency, and so on and so on. All these things you specify as options in the feed definition. When you have done that, you can then call the API and get the structure, as you can see on this example here. This is a JSON extract from this particular feed. Now let me show that in the live system. So I go to my PIM area, and you can see that these two areas here are my channels and my feeds. Now let's focusing on our channels now. Again, shown on the PowerPoint, you saw that I have a structure inside Amazon. Of course, the structure I have set up here is split up into seasons. Doesn't matter in what type you do it, just that you have a structure below the seasons in my setup here that they're following the you could say structure rules you have from Amazon. So basically, if I want to put some bicycles to my Amazons, I have to put it into a category called cycling, and maybe into a category called bikes, or maybe if it's cycling clothing, maybe into the clothing or footwear or whatever, anything of these categories that belongs to cycling. Now, if I take the other one, the partner shop, it's more simple. In my setup, I have just specified that I only want to split it up to 4 different types of products. So it's bikes, it's clothing, it's components and accessories. And then I have made an area called news. Again, this structure is just to meet the need from the distribution network you send it to. So they can identify where do these products belong to, and maybe get some of these categorized informations with it in the structure. Now, if I want to add products to this structure, I just go to my PIM area, I go to my maybe into the workflow, or I can go directly from a dashboard saying I have 10 products waiting for publishing. I go in and say I want these 2 saddles to be distributed into my partner network. So I can just select them, say publish to channels. I get the list of both my e-commerce, this is also a channel, and my channels I had defined in my channel area. I go to my partner shop and I call it accessories and save and close. Now these 2 products are linked to my specific channel in the accessories category. So quite easy to maintain the thing from the PIM area to the specific channels we want these products to appear in. Now, if we go to the feeds, you can then see that I have these list of feeds. I have Amazon feeds. Basically, that should be used for Amazon feeds to communicate with the Amazon services, because that's the way Amazon have dictated to get the different type of data. Then I have 2 feeds for my partner area for the EU, one from Magento and one from Sitecore. Both of them are made as JSON. So if I go to, let's say, this one and look at that, you then see I have given it a name. I have a query it should be based on. That means the query definition describe which products should go into this feed. Then I have some sort order and maybe some parameters. And then I come to these options I can set on a feed with my languages. I only selected the English one. I've selected the Euro. I've selected my basic information should come from my PIM shop. Then I, in my formats, can define what type of format do we want. At the moment, we have only one provider, and that's a template provider. There will in the future come more providers for specific needs. But with the template provider, you can specify a specific template you want to be used. And these templates can, of course, be customized and whatever you need. I've selected JSON one, and then I have selected which elements do we want from the product list. I only want the products. From the products, I want these system fields, and I also want my category fields and my product fields. And I had detected my prices. Then I can select which prices do we want in my distribution of the data, and variance combination, what type of information do we want to structuring the variant combinations. Now with these informations, the system have created this URL to the API. And if I open this URL, I can look up here, and that deliver my JSON format. Now this is a little bit confusing to look at, so I just let the browser parse it. So there you can see this is my product with the subdescription, long descriptions, and I can close it. This is my next product with all the informations, the prices grouping, my category grouping, the different group of category fields, and below I get links to the different images that are linked to the particular product. So again, you completely control what kind of information should come out with this feed. And if I want another, instead of JSON, I want an XML structure, I can just select this example down here that based on the same query, more or less the same fields, but as you can see, I have now detected the template Dynamicweb XML instead. And if I go down, call this URL to the API, it will extract the data, format it, and now I get an XML structure. So these are the same data. It's now just extracted as XML. And finally, we could take the CSV, again, more or less the same setup, the same query, click on the link, and I will get the things as a CSV file. So the feeds is where you define and detect which data format should be used and which fields should be in that format. Now let's go back and look into how do we make channels. So let's start and go in and say, we now want to make a new channel. That should be for our partner network in United States. So let's do that. I go back to my live system. I go to my settings. I go to my PIM and channels. Now I go in here. These are the two channels that are defined in my system. I say new channel. I'll say this is a partner network United States. I can fill in all these other informations down here, but I define to say save and close. Now I have a new channel. If I go back to my PIM area, open my channels, you now see my new partner networks United States. Now it's empty. It's just the channel itself. Now I can start to make my structure. So I make a new group in the top of the channel called bikes for US. And maybe call one closing for US. There we are. We just have these two. So I've now made a new channel. I have made two categories in this channel. And of course, I can make a deeper structure of categories if I want. Then I can go to my, again, dashboard, look at the products that are ready for publishing. And I can say, well, these 3 bikes, I want to publish them to my new channel in my partner network US, and I put it into my bikes. And I maybe also want to take these caps and hats and whatever it is, take these 4, I want to publish them, I put them into my partner network US and into my clothing area. So if I go to my channels now, look at my network, I have related these products to these 2 categories. So again, the channels is where you can organize, you can sort products. If I want to be sorted in a different way, I can go in and say this one should be first and this one should be second and so on and so on. I can save it. And of course, this can have influence on how these products are represented in the feed later on. That could be very useful for making a feed for a catalog, making a printing catalog for importing to maybe InDesign. Now, So the organization of the products are now done. I now need to make a feed. But to make a feed, as you saw before, I need a query where I can specify which products should go into this feed. So I go to my settings again. I go to my repository. I have my PIM repository, and this is the PIM repository I use for my channels. So in this repository, I will make a new query. And the query could be channel partner US, and the data source should be PIM. And then I can put in maybe my parameters or the expression. And I'll make a simple one now, just saying that my expressions is just my ID of the channel itself. Mm-hmm. There we are. Okay, I don't know what's going wrong here. Now I can't get a list of my channels. So I just let it be. I go back to my channels definition into the feed and say new feed. What's going on? New feed. And I make a feed now for my partner network for the United States. And I make it as a JSON format. Of course, this one could be the different type of solution we want to distribute to or whatever. My query, I go in now and select my channel partner US. And I go down to my languages I want to be a part of this. I could, of course, specify multiple languages, but in this case, I only want the English language. My currency should be dollar. I will take my product attributes like image patterns and things from my PIM area. And in the format here, I will select my template provider. And again, the template provider is the only provider at the moment, but there will come more providers in the future. Now, when I select the template provider, I get a list of all these options I can specify, but also I get a possibility of select the template I want to be used. When you download the full system from our website, you will get these examples of templates within the package. Now I have decided to make a JSON one, so I select that. And the content type is JSON. I select only my products. That's the only content I want to distribute. And basically I take more or less all the product fields and the categories, discounts and whatever, all the prices, and I take all the variant combinations. As you can see, there are no URL in the bottom, but as soon as I say save, we then get the link in the bottom. So if I just close your links up here and now press on this link, it will make the extraction from my channel and formatted it into, that take a little bit while because I didn't set up expressions on my query. So it will now extract all my products into this one. That was the problem I had when I created the query. I couldn't define my expression. Anyway, the result I will get was more or less the same as this one, just of course with the products from the new channel I have made. Sorry that it didn't was possible for me to show this one, but I don't think we should wait for that. But anyway, that should be the result we get. And you can then send out this link to your partner network or to people that should be possible to use this API URL, or you can put it into the scheduler in a dynamic web system. So it's automatically every night or every hour make this extraction or make the call to this API URL automatically and distribute maybe the file to a certain folder somewhere on the network. So there are different possibilities of using this link. Again, that could be called directly from your partners or your partner network, or you can put it into the scheduler and then it can automatically extract the data to a certain folder. So that was how to make the products and how to link the into it. And we also took the feeds where we created a feed for it. We created the query for it, and we decided to use the JSON output format. So that's how you can use the channels in the dynamic web system, how you can make your distribution set up to different needs to your partners or to your partner networks or whatever you need to distribute your data. And if you want to read more about this, you can go to our website. You can go to the doc area and see how these setups and how to deal with these things and with the feeds and the channels. And you can also go in on the website and see the recording of this session and previous sessions, webinars that have been held around the PIM. That's it. Thank you for your attention. Have a nice day.